Hi guys, welcome back to the Danger Pit. I'm still Chef Danger. Now, if you've been following this channel since the beginning, if you think back to my brisket video, I said the following. And this will get used. Add it to the pile. And so here we are, 10 months down the line, that exact piece of brisket I've just taken out of the deep freeze now. Doesn't look so tasty right now because it is frozen solid, but what I've got here is a good thick piece of brisket flat. This is around about 2 kilos, and now we're going to make some pastrami. So I've never made pastrami before. I've eaten a lot of pastrami, but I've never made it before. But I understand the theory of it, and so today we're going to learn together. So the idea is we're going to toast up some spices, make a nice brine for this. I'm going to leave this for 7 days in my fridge, and then this time next week we're going to take it outside, get it on the pit, get it smoked up, and we're going to have some homemade smoked pastrami. Wow! So I've got my saute pan here, which I've warmed through on a medium heat. We're going to add my toasting spices to this, warm them through dry. Going to add a bunch of black peppercorns, got some black onion seeds, which we sometimes call nigella here in the UK. Got some mustard seeds and some cumin seeds. So all I'm going to do is just warm these through, get them toasted so they darken down ever so slightly and until they get nice and aromatic and fragrant. We're having beef, might as well. Cheers, friends. So these seeds have had enough time just to get a little bit of colour. Now I'm just going to tip them out onto this cloth, spread them out evenly, fold it over, just move this. Just going to take a rolling pin, I'm just going to break these seeds up a little bit and release all the aromas from inside them as they've toasted down. Not going to go super hard on this, just enough just to release the flavours. I don't want them to go powdery, just want to crack them apart. Ah, nice one. So this spice blend's got a real earthy, lovely strong curry tones in there. Beautiful. And I'm going to transfer them just into a regular old saucepan. Now I'm going to add a few more things along with these toasting seeds. Got a good handful of cloves, good couple of bay leaves, a slack handful of red chili flakes, maybe a bit more, I like spice, there we go. And I've got 3 cinnamon sticks that I'm just going to pull apart. I don't want to marmalise them, I don't want to be picking this off the beef when it's ready, I just want to get those flavours in there. A whole bunch of salt, like loads of salt. This is a salt-based brine, so we're going to go heavy on the salt. This may look a bit intense, but we're going to wash all of this salt wash off in the end. I'm going to put in there enough hot water to dilute down, and I'm just going to give this mix 10 minutes or so to boil, just to really get the flavours out. Now at a glance that might seem like heaps of salt, and I don't really cook with loads of salt when I do my barbecue, so let's talk about why I just did what I did. So the salt in this brine is going to force water into the beef over the next 7 days while it's brining in the fridge. And as that water gets forced into the beef, all of the essential oils and the aromatics that we've got sizzling away in this pan are then going to get forced into that beef, along with the moisture, so that when we get this smoked and seasoned and ready for serving, it's going to have beautiful, delicious, soft, moist beef at the end of it. Now I don't want this hitting my beef and getting ripping hot and cooking the beef, so I'm going to cool it down with a couple of ice cubes. I purposefully didn't use loads of water. I wanted to make quite a strong brine so I could dilute it down with the ice, so I'm not waiting ages before I can get this in the fridge. Right, so this mixture's cooled down to about 10 degrees now, so it's nice and cool, so I can get it on this brisket flat. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to top it up with a little bit more water, just enough so that it covers the beef when all the air's pulled out. I'm going to get all the air out if I can. There we go. Alright, I'm going to give this a turn every day, and then in a week's time, we have pastrami. I'm also going to use a second bag, so I don't make a mess in my fridge. Right, see you guys in 7 days. I'm going to give this a thorough rinsing, get all the salt off, get the old spices off. We'll get some fresh spices on there once this is ready to go in the smoker, but for now, all the old waterlogged ones, we want to get them all off, get this beef back to being just briskets. Now this feels way heavier, it feels like it's taken on quite a lot of water weight. Say it started at 2 kilos. This is feeling somewhere closer to 3 right now. There's going to be heaps of salt in this beef already because of the brine, so I'm washing any residual salt off so that I can have control over the flavours, and then I'll just season this with my rub when it's ready to go on the pit. And that's it. I'm going to rest this on a wire rack in the fridge until ready to smoke. Just give it a chance to air dry out a little bit. Nice. It is lashing it down outside. The weather's atrocious today, which is fine. We're going to be smoking in the Danger Garage today anyway. So, my pastrami, let's just get a close-up of this. So my pastrami's had it 7 days sitting in the brine, so it's taken on all the flavour that we want it to take. Now, all I'm going to do is just pat it dry with some paper towels, get it lathered with some mustard, get it rubbed with some seasoning, and get it on the pit. Super simple flavours in today's rub. We're going to go for some cracked black pepper. So I'm going to go heavy on the black pepper today, no salt. Now, when you think back to when you get good pastrami from your local deli, it's got a really strong, really robust bark. And there's a few things we can do with the fire to make the bark better. But in terms of the seasoning, I want this quite coarse, quite chunky, so that it's got a good bite to it when you get your slices. Because I want some more earthy tones, I've got a bunch of coriander seeds. Very satisfying noise, isn't it? I'm not going to powder this too fine. Still want it to have some crunch. In it goes. Gonna drop some chili flakes in here. I'm just going to take this pastrami and just pat it dry. It's mostly dry. This glisten that you've got here is just the fat on top. You can see it's a bit wiggly and a bit jellyish. But still, I want to get all the moisture I can off because I want control over that moisture. And this will be residual salt as well. I'm making sure I'm patting down all the edges, all the sides, everywhere I can. And I tell you what, to say this is a big block of raw beef, this pastrami smells good already. It's got some real cola vibes. It's got like a sweetness to it. Say there's no sugar in this. So mustard binder as always, I only need a little bit. Just a tiny little bit. Because this pastrami is already tacky from the brine. Even though I've washed most of it off, it's still going to be a little bit claggy, and that's all I need, just something to adhese it to. You're not going to taste this mustard when it cooks. Right, let's get this rubbed. Now, I don't use sugar really in my rubs, and traditionally, pastrami, you'd have a lot of brown sugar in there, raw brown sugar with the molasses. But I find that anytime I cook with sugar on my smoker, I end up scraping caramel off, and it burns so bad, and it makes a huge mess. And I'm not about that life, I'm just a backyard smoker. So, no sugar. Making sure we're getting on the sides. Now I want to go heavy on this because I want to build a good bark. Like a good, strong, chunky bark. And there we go. I call that done. Beautiful, let's get this on the pit. Okay guys, we are ready, let's go. So I've got my temperature lime in place today. Now I'm going to put this with the thickest part facing forward. This thick part here will take the brunt of the heat. We're going to run at 75 Fahrenheit today, just the same as if we're cooking a brisket. No water pan though, I want this nice and dehydrated. I'm stretching this out as well to make sure it's spread. There we go. Right. So I just wanted to share a quick thought with you guys about chopping my own damn wood. So I've been buying splits, bigger splits, taking my chainsaw to them and then chopping them down by hand. And what I've found over the past sort of 2 or 3 months is that I've been having a bit of practice sort of getting a feel for how dense or how green some wood is or how light it is or whatever. And with a bit of practice, the kind of thing that I can't really teach over YouTube, you just kind of have to do it. I've got a real handle on keeping my temperatures plus or minus 5-10 degrees, which is the sweet spot that I'm aiming for. I was finding before when I was just using whole chunks that come straight from Amazon, I was getting plus or minus about 50 degrees, maybe as high as 65-70 degrees in terms of the temps I was aiming for. But by having a bit of practice and taking the time and just chopping stuff down by hand, I'm really starting to nail those temperatures. So if you want a piece of advice and anything to take away from today, if you're an amateur smoker, buy an axe, chop your own wood, nail those temperatures. Oh, I never get sick of that sound. I've got 2 probes today. I've got one line here which is getting my grade temp, and I've got one probe here which I'm going to put into the thickest part of this flat. Or, one for the heat, one for the meat. Ha ha ha! Okie dokie, let's talk about wood. We are cooking on silver birch today. Yeah. I've got a bunch of this silver birch. left over from some other projects. Oh, I thought I could pull that apart. Got a bunch of silver birch left over from other projects, so I'm going to get that used through before I buy any new wood up. So you're probably going to see a lot of silver birch over the next couple of weeks. But my god, I love the way it smells. So clean, so perfumey, so aromatic. Nice. I do think I prefer silver birch to oak now. Very good, very good. Not really seeing much on the go. I'm just checking to make sure that these ends aren't burning. I've been fighting a little bit to keep my temp steady because of the rain and the cold. But yeah, we're looking good. My rub's still adhesed. Nice, 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 nice. Back to sleep. Feeling good on a Wednesday. Oh, that fat's looking nice. Just enough fat on there to give it some moisture. Nothing's burning. We've got no dark patches. Oh, it's gonna be pastrami for dinner. Yes. Quick firebox vibe check. Yup, that's a fire. Heck yeah. Nice. Not seeing a lot of shrinkage, which is interesting. Not seeing a lot of water dripping off it, which is interesting as well. It's either going to be really juicy or really dry. Oh boy. So I've got some pals coming over for dinner in about 2 hours. Lovely. I've got about 4.5 pounds of meat here. It takes about 90 minutes to cook a pound of beef. So 90 minutes, 4.5 pounds, there or thereabouts, 6, 7, 8 hours, somewhere like that, giving a lot of plus or minus variance. So we are now 6 hours in. I'm sitting at 150 degrees, which is around about, I've still got a third of the cook left to go. I've completely miscalculated this. I thought I gave myself heaps of time. Clearly I didn't give myself heaps enough time. Now my assumption is, with the pastrami, because what I've got is like this ultra waterlogged, now very water dense piece of beef that's not giving out a whole hell of a lot of water byproduct. There's no fat, there's no water coming off it or anything like that. So all that water is still inside the beef. And so where my beef would normally reach the stall, we've now reached some kind of hyper giga stall, where no matter how much heat I'm putting through this, it's just not getting any hotter, which is fine. We'll pass through the stall at some point, but I completely failed to factor in all that extra water weight would make the cook take way longer than I expected, which is fine. I've got some backups. We've got some nice takeaways near us. Bear this in mind next time you're doing experimental cooking and inviting friends over, which when you're me, that's everything I ever cook. Oh well, still looks amazing. Come and have a look. We're looking very pastrami, very commercial. Nice, we're not burning on the ends as well. Lovely, amazing. Lights off, beautiful. So it's been about 7 hours, so we've had enough smoke to get it coloured down. We're at the temperature that we want to be wrapping at, which is about 165. Let's go. Right. This lime has seen better days. Oh, nice. So let's see how we're looking in the light. Nice, nice. This was square when it went on the pit. It's now gone into sort of a triangle. Beautiful. Right, we'll get this wrapped and finished in the oven. Oh, that smells completely different to brisket like. I'm going to wrap this the same as we wrap a brisket. Now traditionally when you smoke pastrami, you finish it by steaming it or boiling it. And I don't really want to do that because that will knock all that nice bark off. But wrapping it in the paper like this and finishing it in the oven will effectively steam it without losing the bark. Enough moisture will be able to pass through. Feel for the thick parts. There we go. Right. Oven set to the same temperature as the smoker. Shut your face. That's it. Silence. And then we leave it in the oven till it's done. Amazing. Thanks, sir. Okay, so after a slight miscalculation with the timing, 7 hours turned into 10 hours. But we've taken this brisket, we've taken this pastrami, we've gone from where it started at, we've taken it up to about 200 degrees. I took it a little bit harder, up to about 204 Fahrenheit or so, purely just to make sure that it's nice and soft and tender through the middle. More importantly though, I took my temperature probe, I stabbed the heck out of it just to make sure it is tender as I'm poking into it. And it feels nice and buttery, but it's still it feels a little bit firm in the way that we're expecting from something that was waterlogged. Now, I was saying this didn't lose much moisture while it was cooking, which is a little bit strange. I expected it to push out quite a lot of water. To say that it pulled a bunch of water in, what does that mean? I have no idea. Let's find out. So, the moment of truth. So this has been resting now for about an hour and a half or so. I've just checked the temperature. We're down to about 165 Fahrenheit. Now this is the temperature where it's not going to billow steam as we cook out. So it means that as I cook this down, I can get the slices cooled, get them vacuum packed, get them in my freezer without them drying out. Anyway, I'm going to stop talking. I'm going to start chewing. Chewing? Chopping. Nice. There was no beef tallow added to this, and this isn't water, this is fat. So, oh sugar, it's pooling. Oh boy. Nice. So this bit here, this is kind of what I wanted to avoid if I could. The bark's kind of pulling away a little bit, but that said, we're looking decent. It smells very different to brisket as well. Like I can really smell the cinnamon, I can really smell the coriander. Kind of weird earthy smell as well that I think is coming from the nigella seeds that I used on this as well. Right, so let's go. Don't know where the grain lies on this. I've not got the rest of it. I'm pretty sure the grain's going this way. Yes. Grain's going this way. I want to cut this way. I can get it so that, here we go, homemade pastrami. It's tendy, it's coming apart. Doesn't feel dry, but let's get a few more slices off it and then we'll see how we're looking in the middle. Cool that you can see how deeply that smoke ring's penetrated there as well. Obviously smoke ring's not an indicator of anything, it just looks good. Nice, cool. So, it's nice and flexible, it's nice and soft, but it's also kind of firm. It's not falling apart the way that brisket does, which is perfect. This is what I want for my sandwiches. So, moment of truth. Let's see how we go. Cheers. That's really intense. That's really intense. It's really smoky. I'm not squeezing it, because we shouldn't squeeze everything. Nice. Hey background people, does anyone want some pastrami?
Yes.
Righto, so while real Chef Danger is chatting with his pals and apologising for serving up a second dinner at roughly midnight, let's us have a quick chat about what I think went well and what we can improve next time we do this cook. So the spice mix itself worked really well with this. As always, the recipe's in the notes below. Now, what was a real surprise about this was how much the cinnamon shone through. I never thought to have cinnamon and beef together. In my head, they're two very opposing flavour profiles, but it shone really brightly through. It tasted great when I got it in a sandwich. Now, I'm cutting these slices way too thick. Now, really, I need to invest in a proper meat slicer to nail those lovely paper-thin deli slices that I'm aiming for, but that's tomorrow's problem. Now, the spices that I used to form the bark all worked really well. The flavours worked really nicely. It was a light level of spicy. However, I felt the underside was lacking. Now, I never moved this pastrami while it was cooking, so this suggests to me that it wasn't that the bark was knocked off, but more just the amount of water inside the beef that was pushed out sweated the bark off during the cook. Now, I'm not really sure how to rectify this, but I'm thinking next time I'm going to try an oil-based binder rather than using the water-based mustard that I used this time. Now, the cook itself, apart from the whole timing debacle, was an absolute breeze. I actually had a new smoker I wanted to play with for this cook, but the crazy weather at the start of the year put a pin in those plans. I've not really had a chance to put it together since then, so that's for another video. Now, the cook itself, apart from the whole timing debacle, was an absolute breeze. I had a new smoker that I wanted to do this cook on, but unfortunately due to the crazy weather I didn't have the space in my garage to put it together, so that's a video for down the line. The pastrami on its own was a bit too salty for my taste, but when it was with the bread, the cheese, the spicy mustard, it mellowed it all out and it all came together really nicely, so yeah, beautiful. So yeah, overall, what a cracking experience. So thanks very much for joining me on another cook on the Danger Pit. If you like my video, consider subscribing and telling your friends. In the next video, I'm going to be showing you Fire Nerds a fun and tasty way to get some exciting use out of your leftover smoked pork. So, until then,